I'll keep singing meanwhile. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Hare, Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Bihari. Jaya Mr. Pad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtota to the Sri Srimad. His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Ashtota to the Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Sorry. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. On this 19th day of November 2025 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we are studying chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness, at the bottom of page 543. 543. You don't have a book because we have so many books. So Ishwar, give them the books. They need 3 books. Now they need 2 books. No, they just need the book, just the book. No, you should follow along. It's easy to follow. Okay. Yeah, 1 more book. That's it. He only has 1 good arm. Okay, good. Haribol. Now we're set. Okay, bottom of page 543, text 13. Ready? Okay, 543. Page 543, text 13. Okay, here we go. Geyam yattat pravakshyami yagyatpamitam ashnute anadimat padam brahma nasattan nasaruchyate jnanam yattat pravakshyami yagyatpamitam ashnute anadimat padam brahma nasattan nasaruchyate geyam yattat pravakshyami yagyatpamitam ashnute anadimat padam brahma nasattan nasaruchyate. Okay, I'm going to ask Chad if he can chant. He's online. Chad, you there? Oh boy, he's not online.
Prabhu, yeah. I can chant. We also have AD and Fadi online with us.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Geyam yattat pravakshyami.
Geyam yattat pravakshyami.
Jat gadma mitam ashnute.
Yad gatpa mitam ashnute.
Anadi mat param brahma.
Anadi mat param brahma.
Nasattan nasat uchyate.
Nasattan nasaruchyate. Okay, so there's no one else online, huh? Does anyone want to try chanting? Maybe you don't have to.
Hare Krishna, it's Ferdy Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead.
Gyanam yattat pravakshyami.
Geyam yattat pravakshyami.
Yajanvat ritamasnute.
Gyatpamitam ashnute.
Anadimat param brahma.
Anadimat padam brahma.
Nasattan nasad uchyate.
Nasattan nasaruchyate. Okay, so I'll read the word by word meanings and then we'll read the translation. Okay. Geyam, the knowable, yat, which, tat, that, pravakshyami, I shall now explain. Yat, which, gatva, knowing, amritam, nectar, ashnute, one tastes. Anadi, beginningless, matparam, subordinate to me, Brahma, spirit, na, neither, sat, cause, tat, that, na, not, a sat, effect, uchyate, is said to be. Translation. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Purport. The Lord has explained the field of activities and the knower of the field. He has also explained the process of knowing the knower of the field of activities. Now he begins to explain the knowable, first the soul and then the supersoul. By knowledge of the knower, both the soul and the supersoul, one can relish the nectar of life. As explained in the second chapter, the living entity is eternal. This is also confirmed here. There is no specific date at which the jiva was born, nor can anyone trace out the history of the jivatma's manifestation from the Supreme Lord. Therefore, it is beginningless. The Vedic literature confirms this. Najayate mriyate va vipaschit. Kata Upanishad 1:2-18. The knower of the body is never born and never dies, and he is full of knowledge. The Supreme Lord as the Supersoul is also stated in the Vedic literature, Shveta Ashvatara, Upanishad 6:16, to be Pradhana Kshetragya Patir Guneshaha, the chief knower of the body and the matter of the master of the three modes of material nature. In the Smriti it is said, dasa bhuto harer eva nanyasyaiva kadachana. The living entities are eternally in the service of the Supreme Lord. This is also confirmed by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings. Therefore, the description of Brahman mentioned in this verse is in relation to the individual soul. And when the word Brahman is applied to the living entity, it is to be understood that he is Vijnana Brahma, as opposed to Ananda Brahma. Ananda Brahma is the Supreme Brahman, the personality of Godhead. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master Srila Prabhupada opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Sri Parampara, the disciplic succession. Okay, so this chapter begins with a question by Arjuna, and Krishna is expanding the answer to that question. Arjuna said, this is on the page 530, "My dear Krishna, I wish to know about Prakriti, nature, Purusha, the enjoyer, and the field and the knower of the field, and of knowledge and the object of knowledge." And Lord Supreme Personality of Godhead answered, "This body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and one who knows this body is called the knower of the field." So then Krishna expands on that, and we went through texts 8 to 12, and Krishna describes these 20, I think about 20 elements of knowledge, which are very important to know. And now he's continuing his expansion of this in text 13. And he's introducing the subject. "I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. Brahman, the spirit, beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world." So, in order to begin to fulfill the mission of human life, and human life has a special mission. We're like all the other living beings you see. Even the trees, the insects, the dogs, the cats, the 8,400,000 different species, of which 400,000 are human beings. We all share the basic principle of being a living entity, or Atma, a soul, which never dies and is never born. That's one of the first instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. The Jayate Mriyate Va Kadachan Nayam Budva Bhavitava Anabuya Ajo Nitya Shastrato Yam Purana Nahanyate Hanyamane Sharire. For the soul there is never birth or death at any time. You see, the body there's birth and death, we know. But the soul in the body is never born and died. And there are not new souls being generated now, because then they would take birth. All the souls that exist, uncounted trillions and quadrillions of them, have existed before the beginning of time, before there was any creation. There was just Mahavishnu lying in the causal ocean for many millions of years, and then he breathes out the universes, and then Garbhodaksha Vishnu appears in each universe, and all the living entities begin to manifest there. But before then, we're within the body of Mahavishnu in a dreamless sleep for countless eons. From the last creation, we've been doing this so long, you see. So the living entities are countless, but there is eternal as Krishna. Countless of them. And our real home is there in the spiritual world, where life is eternal, ever-existing, full of bliss, full of knowledge. There's Satchidananda. This is our original nature. But we're not Satchidananda now. Sat means eternal. None of us are eternal, everyone sitting in this room. We're eternal as souls, but the body, as we know, eventually will die, will cease to function. It's just a very complicated machine. And the fact that it is so complex and incredible the way it works is proof that there's a supreme intelligence. This wasn't engineered in some factory somewhere, you know. It's so complicated. Just the brain alone is so incredible. But still, it's made of material energy, and we're within the body. But in the human body, unlike the lower species, we have the intelligence to inquire into who am I? Why is there any suffering? Why do I have to undergo disease and old age and death and all of these negativities? Is there a way out of this? We can inquire about that. And the important thing is that Krishna wants us to inquire, and therefore he makes available the sources by which we can get the knowledge. especially his representatives, realized souls like Srila Prabhupada, who were sent, really, by Krishna to spread Krishna consciousness, give people a chance to reform their lives, so that at the end of this life, we won't take birth again. We'll go back to the spiritual world, back home, back to Godhead. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam especially, here in Bhagavad Gita, there's a few hints of the spiritual world. The Krishna says, Natad bhasyate suno nashasanko napamaka yadgatvana navartante dadama padamang mama. He's referring to his Dhamma there, his original spiritual world. Well, but he's saying basically, there's no need for the sun or the moon. It's self-effulgent. Nashanka, that's the moon. Power. No fire necessary, no electricity. And once one goes there, he doesn't come back. From every other place you can go, you're going to come back. Now you may say, well, I came to San Diego and I've been here ever since, so I didn't go back. No, but the point is that eventually the body dissipates and the soul will go on to its next destination, according to the consciousness we cultivate. This is the basic point. It's all in our hands. This very nice verse, my favorite verse in this chapter, is coming up, I think, in text 22, which it says, Purusha prakatisto hi bhunkte prakati jan gunan karanam guru sango sel sadasad yoni janmasu. So the Purusha, now we are by nature prakriti, we're energy. Krishna is marginal energy, spiritual energy. But we're acting like Purusha. The Purusha is the enjoyer. Krishna is the Parama Purusha, you see? And we're little enjoyers, we're imitating him. But we can't really enjoy for long because, as we've experienced so many times in this world, every pleasure that we can enjoy with the senses, whether it's reading a novel or eating something, whatever, it's temporary. It's temporary. It's a beginning and an end. But the spiritual happiness has no beginning and no end. For us, it'll have a beginning because we haven't experienced it in a while. But we can come to that point where we're always enjoying. Why? Because we're part and parcel of Krishna. Mama amongst jiva, loka jiva, buddha sanat, Krishna says in chapter 15. All the living entities, not just in human bodies. Where you see a tree growing or a cat walking or whatever, there's a soul in there. So they're all part and parcel of Krishna, meaning that they're particles of consciousness. And because Krishna is Anandamaya Vyasad, he's full of bliss all the time. Why would God ever say, well, I think I'll mix in a little misery in there? No, he'll be happy all the time. So that's what's in the spiritual world. There's just varieties of exchanges of love with Krishna and play, lila. You're not compelled, it's all, Krishna doesn't, Prabhupada loves to quote this verse, Natasya karyam karanancha vidyate, means that Krishna doesn't have to do anything. He says, Prabhupada says he has nothing to do. But what he means is, because it's like, he doesn't have to do anything. He has so many things to do. He has to get up and herd the cows and everything, right? But he doesn't have to do anything to maintain this whole universe. It's all being carried out by his energies, his expansions, right? Mahavishnu is there, and Garbhodaksha Vishnu in all the different universes, and also the different demigods, they're also his agents. They're souls also, So they all do the work of maintaining this universe and doing everything. So then what does Krishna do? Leela. He plays. Wouldn't you like to have a life where all you had to do was play all day? Or where you have to go to work, but your work is play. Krishna goes to work by tending the cows out in the field. But what does he do? He plays all day with the boys and the cows eat the grass. That's his job. And then he comes back, he herds them back, So the point is that we're trying to do that in this world. Everybody said, okay, I got to go to work and I got to pay the rent and everything, but on the weekend, boy, I'm going to play, I have my badminton league or something, and I'll dance and I'll meet my girlfriend, whatever. And then, Monday, back to work, so I can play later, No, that's not bliss. That's illusion. That's Maya. That's illusion. So the whole point of this Bhagavad Gita and all of the Vedic culture is to give us the knowledge by which we can understand that who we are, what our situation is, and the means to get out of it, the means to graduate back to the spiritual world where we don't have to take another material body again. No birth, no death, simply Leela every day with Krishna. blissful. So that's what this is leading up to. And so we need to have this knowledge that Krishna is giving us, as he's expanding on what is Prakriti, what is Purusha, what is the field of activity, the bodies, and who is the knower of the field, actually the knowers of the field, the individual knower, and the supreme knower is Krishna. He's there in everyone's body. He says in the 15th chapter, Sarvasya chaham hridisannivishto. I am there in the heart of every living being. And from me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. Vedaischa sarva hame vivejo. Of all the Vedic literatures, the whole point of it is to understand me. You see? I am the author of the Vedanta. I am the original author of these things. So what does it mean to know Krishna? Well, we can't know him in full because he's so vast, and but we can try to know him as far as possible. And we've been given this wonderful Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita and the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu in the form of the Nectar of Devotion. 64 qualities of Krishna. They're listed there in the Nectar of Devotion. What is it? It says, Ayam neta suram yanga sarvasal lakshananvita ruchidas tejasayuto baliyan vayasanvataha. This Krishna is Ayam neta suram yanga. He's got the beautiful body, as possible can be. Sarvasal lakshanan, marked with 32 auspicious symptoms, long arms and broad chest and all the other ones. Ruchidas, very, very beautiful. Tejasa yukto, endowed with all influence and power. And others, it goes on like that, 64 different qualities. And then he gives an example of each one, how it's manifested in Krishna's pastimes. So you won't be able to stay? We're going to have a nice kirtan in about 25 minutes. We're going to have a beautiful arti in 25 minutes. So if you can't stay, you can't stay, but at least you got some. And I guess there's no prasadam yet. Okay. All right, so let's go on. We'll go on to the next verse, text 14. Okay. Sarvatak paniparam tat. Tat. Sarvato shishiro mukham. Sarvatak shrutimaloke. Sarvamavitatishtati. Four times in this verse the word sarva is used, so that must be the theme. He's everything, everywhere. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the super soul exists, pervading everything. So this is describing the Kshetragya, one of the Kshetragyas, the individual, now the supreme Kshetragya, the knower of the field, or the fields. Purport: as the sun exists, diffusing its unlimited rays, so does the super soul or Supreme Personality of Godhead he exists in his all-pervading form. And in him exist all the individual living entities, beginning from the first great teacher, Brahma, down to the small ants. There are unlimited heads, legs, hands, and eyes, and unlimited living entities. All are existing in and on the Supersoul. Therefore, the Supersoul is all-pervading. The individual soul, however, cannot say that he has his hands, legs, and eyes everywhere. That is not possible. If he thinks that under ignorance he is not conscious that his hands and legs are diffused all over, but when he attains to proper knowledge, he will come to that stage, his thinking is contradictory. This means that the individual soul, having become conditioned by material nature, is not supreme. The supreme is different from the individual soul. The Supreme Lord can extend his hand without limit. The individual soul cannot. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that if anyone offers him a flower or a fruit or a little water, he accepts it. If the Lord is a far distance away, how can he accept things? This is the omnipotence of the Lord. Even though he is situated in his own abode, far, far away from the earth, he can extend his hand to accept what anyone offers. That is his potency. In the Brahma Samhita 537, it is stated, Goloka eva nibasatya kilatma bhutaha. Although he is always engaged in pastimes in his transcendental planet, he is all-pervading. The individual soul cannot claim that he is all-pervading. Therefore, this verse describes the Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead, not the individual soul. Yes. Okay, so this, a lot of, Srila Prabhupada's purports and the literatures are emphasizing the distinction, the eternal distinction between the individual limited soul and the unlimited Supreme Soul. This, I remember, before I ever heard of Krishna consciousness, I would like to read philosophy, and sometimes I read some theology-type books. And I remember that the first, I was reading about God. What are the main qualities of God? Oh, he's omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipresent. And then I heard another one from the Vyasa-san, I forget who teaches it, and omnibeneficent. Have you ever heard that one? Supremely, looking out for the welfare of all of us. Beneficent means giving blessings. So, that's mind-blowing, because we're anything but omnipresent, omniscient, and all these things. We can just imagine that, we have limitations. But we would like to be, you see, but we can't be. But we can serve the omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent one. And in this way, attain our original nature, which is definitely deathless. It is Satchit Ananda. And you can imagine maybe living in a world where every day you don't have any fear of growing old and dying, It's just, but every day is a new adventure. It's the variety, variety. Prabhupada says 1,000,000 times, variety is the mother of happiness, or something like that, of enjoyment. So that's part of Krishna's pastimes. They're ever new. He's always inventing new ways to, tease Radharani, and all these different things. So different rasas, the different rasa, relationships. That's how we enjoy. Krishna has a relation with everything there. The flute, the cows, the land. Everything in Goloka is conscious. Even the water, it's conscious. Oh, when will Krishna jump into me and enjoy, like that. So that means that there's no there's no dead matter there. Like here, there's earth, water, fire, air, ether. They're unconscious. They're unconscious. They're at Krishna's lower energy. They're part of Krishna's Prakriti. But in the spiritual world, everything is managed by the internal energies. The Ladani Shakti, Sandhani Shakti, Samvit Shakti. These are all internal energies. The Sandhani Shakti manifests the things that are there. The Ladani Shakti is personified by Srimati Radharani, the eternal pleasure of Krishna relating to everyone and everything with their specific rasa. That's Ladani Shakti. And Samvit is knowledge, how we know what's going on. So those are all spiritual energies. But we're also an energy. We're called the Tatastha Shakti, marginal energy. Beautiful verse by Lord Chaitanya in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami asked, he took the role of a disciple. He was very learned, educated Brahman. He was the prime minister of Bengal, and everything, of the king of Bengal. But he quit it all, and with his brother Rupa, and they went to Vrindavan and took up the most austere lifestyle, But first Sanatana went to Benares and was taught there by Lord Chaitanya for, I think, 2 months, extensively. So, but he took a very humble position. He knew, so he puts the straw in his mouth and he bows down to Lord Chaitanya, and he asks this question: "Kemi kenayame taris japachai." I forget the Bengali. He says, "Who am I? Why am I suffering in this world? If I don't know the answer to these questions, what is the use of my material erudition?" You see, people think that I'm so learned, and he was. He knew Sanskrit, he knew Persian, all the different languages. But he didn't know the answer, who am I really, and why am I suffering in this world? So he asked that question. And Krishna, ultimately, in a few verses, he gives the perfect answer. Jivera, what is the jiva? Jiva soul. Jivera swarup, the real nature of the jiva, the eternal nature. Jivera swarupoi, Krishnera nityadas, eternally a servant of Krishna. But then he goes on. Jivera Krishnera tatastha shakti beda beda prakash. So the first line means the eternal swarup, the actual nature of every living entity, is to be a servant of Krishna. But here in this material, we've all forgotten it. Certainly the cats and dogs have forgotten that, but even the human beings. We live on a more or less an animalistic platform. You know, sense enjoyment and that. But that's all fleeting, that's Maya. So the whole point of Bhakti Yoga, as taught by Lord Chaitanya, which is based on the Shastra, of course, is to undergo a sadhana, a practice, by which we can get reinstated in our swarup, our actual form, as servants of Krishna. So you're taught to how to serve Krishna. Now, the central service that we do is the chanting of this mantra. This is the great benediction in this age. Where this Kali Yuga, we're not really, qualified. Even Arjuna said, I can't do this Ashtanga Yoga. Go off to the Himalayas and sit alone like that. I'm a Kshatriya, I'm active like this. So he was... So Krishna said, yes, it's difficult, but it's possible by practice. If you don't succeed, and you take a birth in a family that can, But Arjuna was pessimistic. So Krishna then encourages him at the end of the chapter. He says, Yoginam api sarvesham bangaten antaratmana shradhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. I consider the best yogi to be one who is always thinking of me within his heart and worshipping me with great and transcendental faith. That's the best yogi of all. So Arjuna was relieved because he's Krishna's dear friend. So he's already thinking of him all the time like that. Not only in this life, but life after life. So, what we're learning now in the 13th chapter is important understanding of what exactly this field is made of. And Krishna will describe that in a few verses, or he already has actually. The different elements of the material body, of course, the earth, water, fire, air, ether is there. The different senses, the knowledge acquiring senses, gyanendriyas, which we commonly learn even in 5th grade. For sense, the ears, the eyes, the nose, the taste, the touch. And then there's the active senses, the hands and the feet and the voice. Especially the voice is so important, and for teaching Krishna consciousness. And procreation and evacuation organs, those are active. And then the subtle senses. The mind is also considered a sense, mind and intelligence and ego. This is all part of the field, you see. And so they all are incredibly put together in such a way by Krishna, with his agents, the demigods, and we're given this body. And as I mentioned, this human body is special because it has that intelligence. And I always like to cite this verse in these classes because it gives a meaning to everything we're doing. Why are we doing this? Why are we studying this book? So there was Labdva. Krishna speaks this verse, I think, in the 11th canto. Labdva sudurlamamidam bahusambhavante manushyam artadam anityam apiya dhira turnam yateta napateda namityavad nikshe saya vishaya kalasarvatakshyat. So he says, you have attained this rare human form of life after many, many births. Labdva sudurlabham, very rare. Idam bahusambhavante manusham, the same word, manusham, human life. Artadam, it can give the ultimate value in life, the spiritual value. Where arta often means money because we see we got to get that value, But that is an illusion. It comes in your hands and goes out, or it comes in your hands and then there's max inflation. It's not worth anything. It's frustrating. It's silly. But the real arta, the svarta, the goal of the soul, is to understand who we are, what our relationship is with God, and to reestablish ourselves in that relationship. And at the end of this life, not to come back, but to return home back to God and to Krishna's spiritual world. So, artadam anityam, but like all forms, human form is temporary. So time is going. The time is passing for all of us. And therefore, the first thing, don't waste time. We should strive. So that's the next line. So one has to be dhira, thoughtful, sober-minded, and then turnam yateta means without wasting another second, begin striving for that ultimate good, nikshayasaya. Turnam yateta, as long as you haven't died yet, you know. It says, Turna miteta napated anumitya yava. It's interesting. Every syllable counts. One should strive. Yateta means to strive. Yati. As long as the body hasn't fallen down. Napated, because after all, anumitya yavad, that so death is following you, behind you all the time. You don't know when it will happen. You know, some meteor could fall out of the sky, and anything can happen. Or you're driving on I-5, whatever. So therefore, you have to be always ready. Remember Krishna every moment. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare. So, and then nikshayasaya, not just shreyas, but the ultimate good to strive, which is self-realization, God-realization, and re-establishment in our loving devotional service to Krishna. Because after all, he ends this verse, Vishayakara said, in all those other births we've been through, we've had all kinds of experiences of different varieties of sense pleasure, and what has it gotten us? Another birth. So that's not going to help you. So disregard that and learn how to practice Krishna consciousness, become detached from this material pleasure, and learn the art of taking pleasure in serving Krishna. And once you do that, and like the great souls, they can at any time remember Krishna, chant some shlokas, and as Prahlad Maharaj says famously to Nrsingadev, did you see the movie? Oh, there's a movie. No, very nice movie. It's called Narsingha Mahavatar. It's a animated, but it's with AI, so it's very realistic. Wow. Yes, and I can send it to you. Someone sent it to me. They took it off Netflix, and I can send it to you. It's very, very expertly done, and it's according to Shastra. You like it? Yeah. So I have your address, so I'll send it to you. You can send it to me. Yeah. I'm telling you, all the devotees have watched it. They even went to the movie theater to watch it. I wouldn't know do that, but I watched it on my screen at home. But Prahlad, we know from the Bhagavad Gita, his beautiful prayers to Nrsingadev. He was such an ideal example of service. Can you take the book off the seat, because it shouldn't be on the seat like that? So he has these prayers to Nrsingadev, which are just so important in the Bhagavad Gita. And he's saying to Nrsingadev, one of them he says, Naibo Vijay Padadatjaya Vaitadanyastwadvi Yagaina Mahamritamagna Chitta. Said, I am not at all disturbed. Now the history. His father tortured him, he tried to kill him, and Prahlad just remained completely fixed on Krishna and tolerant, and really he was protected, and this movie brings it out. So this is the verse after that, and Prahlad, is getting his prayers. And only Prahlad could pacify Nrsingadev. He was so furious. He just, killed Hiranyakashipu, and then Shiva and Brahma and others. Hare Krishna, welcome. You can sit, if you like, here, or you can sit on a bench, or whatever. But just take a book. We're on page, well, actually, we're going to end soon. 545. But did you see the movie about Prahlad and Nrsingadev? Okay, this is a wonderful. Yeah, this is a great movie. So in this prayer, he's praying to Nrsingadev. He says, Naivo Vijay, I'm not at all disturbed by anything now. Do you know the story of Prahlad and Nrsingadev? Okay, a little. Okay, so this is a little boy who was became realized in the womb. He was taught by this great sage named Narada Muni, and he became self-realized before he was born. He was born into a family of demons. His father didn't know that he was a devotee. So after a few days at school, he thought he was being trained to be a nice little demon. So he asked him, my father. So the father, he takes him Prahlad on his lap and he smells his head. This is a sign of affection. So what have you learned today? What's the best thing you learned today in school? So Prahlad, without flinching, because his father's a demon, he's a devotee, and generally the demons don't like the devotees. So he said, my dear, he doesn't say father, or best of the demons. He calls him, he says, Tatsadamanye Asuravarya, means best demon. Tatsadamanye Asuravarya de nam sadasambud vignadiyam asadgraha. So the first thing he says, the best thing I learned today, O best of the demons, best for whom? For the embodied soul, for every soul, who is always disturbed in this world. Why? Because we've taken shelter of that which is impermanent. We think that the body, okay, I've got a pretty healthy body. I work out. My body will save me. But we know the body is just a fragile little machine. And we see, so many stories that the fires come and the storms come and then the pandemic comes, it's very dangerous. So therefore we're disturbed, we're in anxiety about that. So okay, so here's the remedy for that. So he tells his father, whose brother was killed by Krishna in the form of the boar incarnation. I don't know how you ever hear about the boar incarnation? Not so much. Okay. Anyway, so Krishna comes in different forms, and he killed his brother. This big demon, his brother was killed. So he was already a big demon. Now he just hates Vishnu more and more. So his little son is now telling him, here's the remedy, Father, for that anxiety. Hit Vatnapatam, give up the materialistic household life, which is like a blind well, and go to Vrindavan. He says, go to the forest, but it's understood as Vrindavan, and take shelter of Krishna, of Hari. Hiranyakashipu, where did he learn this? So he looks at the teachers, Sandanamarka, with his, did you teach him this? He said, no, we didn't teach him anything. He learned it in the womb, So anyway, this is the best. And eventually Hiranyakashipu can't take it because his son is incorrigible. He can't be trained. So he tries to have him killed. He can't be killed. He's protected by Krishna, which is freaking Hiranyakashipu out. So eventually Hiranyakashipu says, you say there's some kind of God that he's everywhere. Where is he? He's in this pillar? Yes, Father. So he says, I don't believe it. And he punches the pillar, and out comes Lord Nrsingadev. Half man, half lion, and he kills him. It's very dramatic in the movie. Huh? Nashi? What does that mean?
He's a half man and half sea.
Nursing, yeah. So anyway, then Prahlad has all these prayers. None of the demigods are afraid of the Nrsingadev. He's still so furious, So they said, Prahlad, you go and see, maybe you can pacify him. So he's not afraid. He walks right up to him, and as soon as Nrsinga sees Prahlad, he says, oh, my dear Prahlad, And Prahlad starts offering these prayers. And so one of the prayers is this one near the end, where he says, Naidvo Dvijay, I'm not at all disturbed, because I'm with you, and you're across the Vaitarani river on the spiritual world. Naidvo Dvijay Puradodotya Vaitaranyas, and at any time, Twadvi Yagayana Mahamanta Magna Chitta, I can chant your glories and dive into an ocean of nectar. I can enjoy that way. But I am lamenting. I'm lamenting for all these poor souls who've forgotten you, turned away from you. In the artha, for the sakes of the senses, they're trying to enjoy, and bearing the great burden of trying to enjoy this sense gratification and suffering life after life. So the next verse, which I won't share because we're running out of time. Therefore, I have to give them you. I have to take up the burden of being your representative here and preaching Krishna consciousness, and that's the life of the devotee. So anyway, usually at the end of the class, I chant one or two poems which I wrote. So since we're coming to that, and we'll call it a night for reading the Gita, and I'll just give you one or two. Did we do 14? No. Everywhere his hands and legs, his eyes, heads and faces. No, we didn't do that one. Okay, we'll do that one on Monday, text 14. So here's a nice little poem describing Krishna entering into the forest with all of his friends and the cows. Barhapi, this is from the 21st chapter of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Barhapidam natavadabapu karneyo karnikaram Bibran vasa kanakakapisham vajayantin cha malam Randran veno adadasudeya puriyan gopa vrindar Vrindaranyam sopadanamanam pravishad gita kirti With lovely peacock plume upon his head And fragrant flower placed upon each ear He enters Braja's wood with graceful tread A handsome dancing actor without peer. His golden yellow raiment brightly glows, his splendid garland reaches to his knees, and from his lustrous lips the nectar flows, and fills his flute with charming melodies. As Krishna thus begins his blissful day, with cowherd friends who sing his glory sweet, he beautifies Vrindavan's forest way, with fine impressions of his lotus feet. So that's a nice little meditation. If you like it, I can send you my poetry file. You can learn it. Or you get it from you. You have it. Okay, so we're going to adjourn now, and the curtains will open in a few minutes, and we'll have a nice little kirtan for Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much.